Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Symphony. We're just going to sit right here and make sure that we can be seen and heard because Symphony is already having serious tech issues right now. I know, poor Mary. Guys, Mary was supposed to be joining us. We're sitting here with the Symphony logo right now because Mary's sound, we could not get her sound together. So, chat, if you can confirm that we can be seen and heard, I would super appreciate it. And Lord, I don't even know if Mary's sound is going to work enough for her to even enjoy the stream. But I think we're okay. I can hear yas, beautiful. Then, guys, you know what time it is. Hello and welcome to the Symphony. Symphony Entertainment Gaming and Arts is my gaming company that focuses on horror systems, indie games, organic content, and player agency in an attempt to bring a symphonic approach to horror role playing. I am your host, Bridgett Jeffries, but I am not your conductor because we have Richard Rook on the call running a symphony sonata. I'm going to have him introduce himself in just a second, but I do want to say as we continue to march through June, happy Pride, happy Pride, happy Pride, happy Pride. To celebrate queerness, Symphony is rolling out a month of Pride-themed sonatas run by queer conductors, GMs. And this is the same Symphony 60 minutes of improvised horror rollout, but we're just splashing it with a heavy dash of gay. So we have had Perry. I have run one. And coming up soon, we have Jason, we have Rena, and right now we are going to enjoy Richard. So, due to the fully improvised nature of this content, I can't really tell you where we're going to go story-wise. I might have an idea of where Richard is taking us, but I really don't know. We're going to be leaning on the chat. We're going to be pulling inspiration from where we can. But because of that, I can't forward-face any content warnings for you. So if you're watching the YouTube channel, you can see them in the description. If you're watching now, you're along for the ride. Protect yourself. Protect your peace. Have fun with it as you can. And if something happens that you need to nope out, nope on out. Last announcement, Symphony has a Patreon, so if you like this content and you would like to help us make more of it, please consider backing us at patreon.com/Symphony Entertainment. This is a cast of two. You already know who I am. But let's talk about this delicious individual that I'm getting ready to tell a story with, who we haven't played together since my Gen Con hotel room 2 years ago. Richard, please introduce yourself, baby.
Hey, I am Richard Ruane. I am the creator of our Rook Studio. I have a t-shirt with my name on it because I'm a dork and it was the only thing I got out this morning. Um, and I am a professional writer and editor who does work in games, fiction, and educational training material. And I'm also the production manager and logistics coordinator for Plus One EXP. And I work for Plus One EXP, and I cannot even do Tony's little introduction where it's just like a brand that multi-classes in. I lose all the things. We do games.
We do games.
That is the publishing part I work on. And we are we're a crazy little brand, but we do games. And today I am also the creator of New Line at Roseville Beach, and today I'm happy to take you back past the 1970s
Oh.
into the 1860s, into the middle of the desultory period of Victoria's reign, where her husband King Albert has died.
Okay.
uh, and we are going to as was the case for most of the Victorian era, the royalty is not actually all that important. Um,
Okay.
but we are back in the Victorian era, the 1860s,
Okay.
right step in the middle of it. In fact, middle of the Victorian era, we are at the beginning of the 1860s, though, because tonight we're going to be in 1862.
1862. Oh my goodness, I love it. I think this is the first historical sonata that we've seen for our Pride one. So I'm excited to see where you go with this one. Okay. Cast, which is just us. I think you
Yep.
and I are ready to rock and roll. Just remember, our standard safety tools are the X card or the red, yellow, green traffic light method that can be enacted by any cast member at any time. No questions asked, no judgment passed. And with that being said, I surrender it all to you, Richard. Talk us through what's going on in 1862.
Well, first, Bridgett, I want to know who you are. There's some
Okay.
things we already know about you going into this.
Okay.
Last year, Parliament finally passed a law ending the death penalty for sodomy in the
Okay.
United Kingdom. The last person to be executed for Sodom in the United Kingdom was your friend, John Pratt,
Okay.
in 1835. It has been close to 27 years since John Pratt died. He was the very last person killed for sodomy,
Okay.
at 30 years old. When you knew John, you were an adult. How old were you, and what was your relationship to 30-year-old John Pratt?
Ooh, you say he was about 30 when he died?
He was exactly 30 when
He
he
was
died.
30 on the nose.
He was
Okay,
30 on the
Richard, what I'm feeling right
born in
now,
1805,
say it again.
killed born in 1805 and killed by the state in 1835.
In 1835. Okay, he was 30 on the nose. I feel like I'm a really strong fit if I'm reading what you could potentially even be putting down for. I was in my 20s at the point that he was executed. And I like the idea that I was exploring outside of the rounds of the law, or looking to explore
Mhm.
outside of the rounds of the law over an executionable offense. And I was being mentored by John Pratt in some capacity. So I will place myself as a 20-year-old male. Let's go with this is Victorian England that we're working with.
We are in Victorian England now. We're in fact, let's stick to London if it's okay with you.
I love it. 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 Okay. So I'm going to put my name at, let's do Arthur. What's a good last name for me? Mm, Arthur Evans. I'm going to do
Remember,
Arthur Evans.
Arthur Evans,
Arthur Evans. Yep.
and you are now going on 47. If I hear you correctly,
Yes, that sounds right.
and it is the June anniversary of John's execution
Okay.
coming up. John was arrested. This is loosely based on the historical figure, but we don't have to be too tight.
Mm-hmm.
We let's put Victorian justice. We're gonna say was relatively quick, ugly, and swift, nasty,
Okay.
brutish, and short. Um, let's put John's arrest in February.
His
In
arrest in February and his execution in June.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's uh let's stick roughly to that. So cold winter months of February. And let's work a little backwards here.
Okay.
46-year-old Arthur, what do you
Evans.
yeah, what
Yep.
do you do now? It's 1862 in London.
I'm going to say that I did as well for myself as I could, given the hardships and the classism of the time. I like the idea that either I'm going to tee this up to the chat. And, chat, if you're with us, let me know. Do you want me to have a background in writing? Because I really like the idea of some type of journalist or somebody that works with paper or research, book restoration, something literary in that aspect. For whatever reason, I'm really getting a strong vibe of a small shop owner of some sort, either a baker or a cigarist or something of that nature. Or I don't want to do politics. I want to do something that's a little mundane on that. So, chat, I know there's only a few of you there. Bookshop is good. Haberdasher. What actually is a haberdasher? You know what a
I believe a
haberdasher is?
hat maker. I
A hat
believe.
maker?
I believe.
Skip is a
Skip got my
haberdasher or
correct.
a hat maker? Sells hats. Okay. You know what? Because we learned something today, confirmed. A hat maker it is. I'm a haberdasher. I own my own haberdashery, if that's the word.
You are a maker of
I
hats
am a
for
maker of
ladies
hats.
or gentlemen.
Correct. I have a small boutique shop in London where
Uh,
I make hats
for ladies or gentlemen.
for gentlemen. Let's do gentlemen hats. I am known for little Easter eggs that I put in the hats. They are typically custom made, so there's typically always something special or unique, either embroidered or sewn or factored into the design of the hat that makes them one of a kind. And I'm a big fan on the use of color and feathers. because I'm a haberdasher. That's what Skip said.
Yeah, yeah,
I love it. That's perfect.
uh, yeah. Um, so in your haberdashery life, um, who have you most recently? First, are you a regarded as a single gentleman, a bachelor of good character, or are you married?
Oh God.
Or are you a person of some disrepute?
Oh. I just have to say that under John Pratt's mentorship and guidance, especially following his arrest and his execution,
Hmm.
I think I would have shied away or scared away or frightened away from any curiosities that I originally had. So versus plowing through, addressing it, going onto the front lines to fight against these type of injustices, I think I turtled. I think that was just too close to home. That was too close to me. That was too close to me potentially being arrested just for asking certain questions or being in the proximity of Pratt. So I like the idea that I've probably been married, childless, and whatever arrangement I have with my wife is completely understood that I'm not there for her and she's actually not there for me, but this is a stable enough arrangement where we can forward face our optics. I got very lucky in finding this particular spouse.
Um, Brief, quick question.
Mhm.
Does your spouse live in London, or does your spouse live outside of the city?
So, I can go both ways on this. What
Mhm.
feels better for your story? Because I love the idea that I have an estate
Oh,
somewhere else that she stays at, and we're like, versus separate bedrooms, we're actually separate homes. But I also love the idea that we are cohabitating, but we definitely spend a lot of time. I don't resent her. She doesn't resent me. We have a very
oh yeah.
stable, understanding relationship. Like when company comes over, we sleep in the same bed, but we actually have our own separate apartments. So, what's better for your story?
And also, Victorians had only recently discovered, in the scope of history, putting separate rooms into a home. Uh, a radical new technology. Uh,
Right.
Transform. So it was not unusual for even like, straight up, lower middle class working couples to have separate rooms
Okay.
for both spouses. Um, I just wanted to see if your conception was that she is present here in London as you
If it
face these coming horrors.
if it doesn't matter for the directionality of your story, I love the idea that we are cohabitating.
Nice.
Successfully and healthily cohabitating.
Mhm. Um, Tell me about the men you have arrangements with.
Ooh.
It's not serious, of course, because you're married and he may not even be the serious type. You may not be the serious type. But who currently
Ooh.
have arrangements with?
Okay, so then reverse question for you. I am going to name this individual Oliver Drake. Drake was a name that Skip populated in the chat, and Oliver is the first name I pulled up on this good name generator right now for strong British male names. So we're gonna do Oliver Drake. Chat, can you please, while I'm working through this backstory, tell me what Oliver Drake does for a living in London? Somewhere again, like high, low, middle class. And then Richard, I have a reverse question for you historically.
Mhm.
Where where would I have learned from John Pratt or just through my time the safest place to connect with Oliver in 1860s
We're
London?
beginning to get the kind of foreshadowings of gay bars, but
Okay.
probably they sort of dub those brothels. We are past sort of the Molly houses,
Okay.
the Regency era style Molly houses,
Yeah.
and we're getting into more Victorian style establishments, which are shifting to become private clubs. are shifting. And I know the 1880s better than I know the 1860s, but there's an important thing that just happened last year in 1860s. We're here in the 1860s.
Oh, I like this.
Um,
Okay.
1861, sodomy decriminalized, not decriminalized, but
And pull the death
the
penalty off of it.
yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
So I got one for you here. Tachi Devil just teed up that Oliver Drake is a tailor. So
no,
I don't even have to work this hard for it. We work in the same industry. So where we are typically meeting at is typically one of our private shops, which is perfect because it explains why we spend so much time together. It would
mhm.
explain why we work together so often. It would explain why we're typically seen at business functions together. Because if I'm making the hats and he's tailoring the suits, our portfolios probably overlap a lot. Like a lot of us overlaps a lot. Emotionally, intimately, sexually, socially. I'm very close to Mr. Drake. But I think those would probably be the two safest places, especially with the fear that I harbor with everything that happened with Pratt. At this point, it's just embedded. We typically find each other's at one of our shops, and it's kind of fun that way, right, Conductor? Because we do get to go on dates together. We do get to step out together as a pair. No one knows it, but it's the haberdasher and the tailor. Of course, they go hand in hand. Or
Let's put the place where you, of course, rendezvous
okay,
so that you don't have to bring Oliver to your house.
okay,
Uh, we're going to call it, it is officially known to the authorities who license liquor as the Brant Street Club. It is a club of private memberships, it's inexpensive
okay.
private memberships, mostly uh, working gentlemen of the more common sort, shop owners, etc., um, clerks, shop owners.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, do you call it the Branch Street Club, or do you have a more informal name for it? Do you know it for instance, the person who runs it? Do you like, is this it's called the Branch Street Club on paper? Is it called the main bartender or owner's name in private
Ooh,
amongst the patrons?
amongst the patrons. You know what? I'm gonna. It's typically called the Branch Street Club. Is that what you're saying?
But yeah,
I don't know why, but this name picked up. It goes by Ivy Row.
Ivy,
Ivy Row, yeah.
Ivy a person or just the
Ivy are the vines that climb up the side of this particular establishment in just profound numbers.
nice, okay. And that is, of course, there are places to order drinks there.
Mm-hmm.
There are quiet places to have rendezvous there with strangers or with friends,
Mm-hmm.
so that neither of you is compelled to return to your home. Let's put Oliver into a rooming house,
Okay.
which was often a place that shopkeepers would live in the city
Okay.
if they were not married, which is also not a place of terrible convenience because getting into the rooming house requires having Oliver let you in and then walking through the common room and going upstairs, which is, gentlemen are not supposed to have people in their rooms of any personage. Um, but especially in a place as clean and nice as Oliver's.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Rooming house, which also means that Oliver doesn't have to deal with rats. Um,
Oh, especially 1860s Victorian England here. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
um, so y'all get to go to the Branch Street Club, and then you
Mm-hmm.
get to come home and go to your own private room. And how long has this been going on between you and Oliver?
Something is feeling good about 16 months. So we've
Six.
crossed the year mark, and we're
Yep.
knocking on the door of year two.
Mhm. One last question.
Mm-hmm.
The history of Arthur. During or after the arrest, what non-subtle way did you betray the trust of John Pratt?
Ooh.
It may not have been testifying, it may not have been presenting evidence, but John went to the
Ooh.
gallows and hung by the neck until dead.
I was sitting in my living room and I was being interviewed, questioned. The real word is interrogated by the local authority. What would they be? Probably the.
The
Well,
constabulary, we'll call them for now. I'm not exactly
nope,
sure.
that's perfect.
Mm.
And they were asking me questions that I was successfully, artfully dodging. But when the questions become a little too specific and you're wondering whether or not they're talking about Pratt or they're talking about me, or certain insinuations are made that I might be in a periphery of this investigation as well. So my confidence continued to dwindle as that fear continued to rise. And I think one of the I try to tell myself over the last few decades that it was unknowing, but I think deep down in my subconscious, I knew what I was doing. At some point during the interview, when they were asking about Mr. Pratt's common hovels, places that he would go, I listed 4 locations, and number 3 I knew definitively would have compromised him. I could have left that out. I was giving them enough data where that could have just, given them a lot of leads that didn't lead anywhere. But I definitely embedded a needle that pointed towards one of his ivy rows, one of his safe places, one of the places where he would be discovered, or they could interview other people that would recognize him. And
What bit of your current well-being did you take from John after he went to prison? Could have been the
oh,
shop, it could have been an introduction to your spouse, could have been.
oh, I'm so tempted to tee it up to chat. Chat, let me know if you guys come up with something, because part of me wants to say the skill set that I'm using right now. He taught me how to make hats. Parts of me
So
wants to
wardrobe
do.
apprentice and
Yeah, I really like that. I also could use something as simple as sense of color. I could also do, this interviewtion, brought me onto Oliver Drake's radar, but I kind of like the idea that I kept with a craft that I was learning from beneath him. Yeah, let's do that.
I assume you also picked up some of his customers.
I inherited the portfolio after he was executed. Yes. Yes.
You have been at Ivy Row tonight. It may have, yeah, Oliver was there. You may have enjoyed yourself with Oliver. You may have
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed yourself with someone else. You may have enjoyed yourself with more than one person. Um, if thou art going to sin, then one should sin boldly, as John used to say.
Mm.
Uh, and your wife is, as usual, asleep in her bedroom, and you retire to your bedroom after you're hanging up your coat. Um, I assume y'all are not quite wealthy enough to have an overnight maid who lives with you. You have someone who comes in to do cleaning.
Oh, no, I'm
I mean,
probably
well,
not doing quite that well.
yeah,
Seasonally,
uh,
that's something we can splurge on, but not something routinely.
yeah, yeah. If y'all are having a small event, you
Correct.
you're a housekeeper for that.
For that, yeah, we can have maid service come in for that, but just as routine maintenance, we're not quite doing that well. But also, I'm really neat and tidy, and Rebecca is as well. It's it's a good match.
And this is where my knowledge of haberdashery is about to fail me.
This is all your fault, Skip. Where are we going? I'm gonna Google it and we can get there together. Where are we going, Richard? Talk to me.
There is a hat uh, from 1835, something that John was known for, and it is sitting in the middle of your tidily made bed.
So
It
I
is
walk
not.
into the room and this hat is just sitting on the center of my bed.
Mhm. It
I,
is not in fashion currently. It is not something that a gentleman would wear. Or yeah, and I'm using gentleman in the broad sense that it came
uh-huh.
in the Victorian era to mean anybody vaguely respectable. It is not something a respectable man would wear right now. It is sitting in the middle of your bed.
I stop, surprised. I take in a sharp intake of air as my hand touches the inside of the door frame here, and I'm going to look around the room, and then I'm
Hmm.
going to approach this curious hat from a historical standpoint. These haven't been in fashion in 30 years.
Are
Maybe
you
this
lighting?
is
I
a
assume you're lighting candles as you go.
absolutely, yeah. I probably would have had like one of the candles on the scones or whatever they call it. Walking into my bedroom. So yes. So no, I'm going to approach. Rebecca may have brought this in. Perhaps someone wants me to do an appraisal on it, or maybe some type of repairs. So I am going to approach this with just the fleck of the confusion, but also curiosity.
John used to put a little something on the hat that would help his customers who were friendly towards him and understanding recognize each other. And it was subtle. What is it? But it would be in the band, I assume, because that is the easiest place to spot. What is in the hat band?
Oh,
You have not seen in a hat band since all of John's customers took them out of their hat bands because they were a little too telling.
oh. Chat, let me know if you get an idea. Richard, I'm getting really strong Fleur de Lis pin vibes for some reason, like the little small metal Fleur de Lis pin that would have been pinned into the band. It looks decorative. It could be holding a feather that fell off, or it could just be present. It could be a celebration of Venice culture, but I'm getting a Fleur de Lis. Purple feather is also really strong coming in from Mary. I actually like that. Chat, let me know if you guys come up with something else. But we got the Fleur de Lis pin that was just
Hmm.
pinned into the hat. We've got a single purple feather, which I think is stunning. I actually really like that. And I'll give chat another 5, 4, 3, 2. Let's do the purple feather.
There's a small, and it's dyed purple in a very particular way. Because, John would use inexpensive tuft feathers
Mm.
so that he could easily fold them in, and they could be easily discarded and taken out if they became known. You were not like ridding yourself of some very expensive bird feather that you were going to regret. Uh, his customers were respectable, but not
Hmm.
necessarily wealthy. So like an in a bit of,
Yeah, just
and
sitting
dyed
here.
in a very particular purple in a very particular way, and it's in the band of this hat.
Oh.
You do not own this hat. This is not your hat. Your, in fact, favorite seasonal hat is on your head still.
The hat removes from my head as I set it on probably a hat rack that's on the inside of the
Mhm.
room. And I look at this hat with the small purple feather. My shoulders slump, and I just audibly grieve and lament for a moment.
Mhm.
Oh, John. And I'm going to pick up this hat. It's so peculiar to me that this hat is sitting on my bed. I'm convinced that Rebecca must have brought it in for some reason. But even if this that wouldn't explain the feather. That wouldn't explain the feather. The feather would have been long removed. It would have been destroyed. I'm going to pick up the hat. I need to investigate this hat.
John's stamp is in the silk,
Mm,
is in the cloth lining of the hat.
yeah.
As soon as you turn it over, you see John's sort of like imprinted stamp inside the hat. Uh, he would stamp that on the cloth he used to line the the uh the hat so that it'd be clearly marked as his. Um,
Oh, quick question. Point of clarity. Marked as a possession? This is my hat that I own, or
oh no,
marked
I
as this is a
made
hat
this.
that I created?
This is a hat that I made.
Okay. 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 Wow. So I'm looking at the
Of
JP
course,
symbol
John
that he had
only wore hats that he made.
that he made. Okay.
The pompous fuck.
So I'm looking at his emblem, his signature on this hat.
Hmm.
As
And you
I
took the feather out of the hat band, right?
I did, yes. So I have the feather sit next to the hat.
When you turn it back over, the feather is there again.
Hmm. You know how you do those double takes, like you're making sure that you're reconciling or recognizing something simple? Like, did I take that feather off? No, I definitely took the feather off. I made sure that it was pointed down and forward up. And is there a second feather? And I turn the hat over again, and I'm going to pull the feather out again and set it next to my hat on that end table. And then I'm going to go back to inspecting the integrity of this particular hat. 30 years out of fashion, was this kept in a display case? Is this aged from where? Does it have a certain scent or cologne? Am I seeing sweat stains on the inside of it? Has it been cleaned recently? Is it decaying? I'm just going to do a quick evaluation of the integrity of this hat.
When you pull the feather away, you loosen a little bit of a
Ugh.
proto business card that's tucked carefully into the hat band. Your pockets might be searched, but people rarely searched your hat bands. A little bit of thick paper, such as one might use for a calling card, and stamped onto it in very precise printed lettering is the address card of the Molly House that you identified John as a frequenter of. It burned down 25 years ago. Very sad, traumatic day. But it burned down 25 years ago. And you have not seen this precisely printed lettering. Um, I mean, shortly after John was arrested, it was closed and then it was purchased again. Frequently, this was a set of chain relationships where, someone would get shut down under one owner. So their friend, who, pretended they had no idea what was going on, would just show up and buy the property and reopen. And when they got caught, somebody else would buy the property and reopen. Then it burned down.
Oof. So I turned that card over in my hand and I recognized the name and address in that Molly house. And just for the briefest second, I remember standing on the street in the ruins of this institution after it had burned down, probably a day or two later. And it was raining because it's always raining here. And I remember wearing a hat very similar to this hat here. Not this hat, just a similar hat. As the rain was coming down onto the hat, it was being whisked away by the brim and it was pouring over my coat. Because at this point, the point that Molly House burned down 25 years ago, John had been executed by then.
Yeah, it was 2 years after.
And I remember the rain coming down and dampening everything except for the scent. And there was this distinct scent of just burned wood and metal that just assaulted my nostrils, and I could feel it in my nose hairs for 2, 3 days later. And just for a brief moment, standing in the rain, looking at the site of my betrayal and smelling what I had burned down, I look at that card and it just slips from my hand. The hat slips from my hand, and I'm immediately going to call out for Rebecca. Rebecca! Because she has to know something. Someone's been in our house, someone's been in our home, and at this point, this is targeted.
You're look down, and that the printing on that card was so fresh that it seems to have left something on your hand,
Oh, God.
like a little bit of ink or something. It's hard to see in the candlelight.
Well, we have to bring the candlelight closer so we can get some type of better eyes on some illumination on whatever this is on my hands.
It looks rusty red.
Oh, well, what's happening? What's happening? And very ungentlemanly like, but you know what you do when you panic. I'm gonna try to rub that off.
And you called for Rebecca,
I
correct?
did absolutely.
You're a gentleman. You have, again, not a gentleman in the Regency sense, a gentleman in the late Victorian sense of a
Yeah.
person of respectable character. Uh, you have a handkerchief. You can, but the more you rub on your skin, it was hard to see, but it's definitely rusty, brownish red as it blots onto your handkerchief. Rebecca doesn't come right away, but you do hear a man's voice. When was the last time your respectable self went to your local parish church? It may not Victorian era, very secular for in actual behavior of most middle class people.
Yeah, very much
Uh,
so. I would say Rebecca and I absolutely make appearances at whatever local church is on like the major holidays where couples are expected to appear.
yeah,
So whether that was
Christmas,
Easter or whatever it was, whatever holidays I'm supposed to be there, yeah, I'm there. So it's somewhere. It would have been somewhere within the last, let's say, this is February. There was absolutely
this
something
is
for
June.
Happy Christmas. Yeah.
This is June.
Oh, this is
Okay.
June. That's right. He was executed in June. He was arrested in February. So, yeah, something happened. I'm sure March, April, somewhere, Easter, something along those lines. That feels good. Let's do three
seven
three
weeks
months.
ago for Easter. Yeah,
Yep.
7 weeks ago for Easter. You this is not the voice of your vicar down at Trinity Branch Street. Um, Holy Trinity Branch Street, a respectable old parish, rebuilt by Christopher Wren at the after the Great Fire. It's a beautiful, beautiful church, but this is not the voice of your vicar, nor was anything. I mean, and you see your vicar fairly often. Um,
Oh God. So I know what voice it's not. Do I know what
you
voice
see
it
the you
is?
see the vicar fairly often. It is not a voice you recognize, but they are saying that psalm. You can't think of the number. You're not a particular devout person.
No.
Your vicar probably knows, but you don't often. But it is a solemn basso voice. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. And it just goes on. It's coming from somewhere down the hall, maybe downstairs. It's hard to tell when you're in your bedroom. You bet Rebecca have had this issue before that there's this house is just this it's just echoey enough that if it's outside the room, you really just can tell whether it's outside the window or outside the door. It's hard
Ugh.
to tell where in the house it's coming from. Rebecca has gone the wrong direction looking for you so many times, and you for her. Uh, but you did call out for her, and she's not waking up, and this voice is coming from somewhere inside the
I
house.
have to pursue that voice because obviously someone else is in the house. Rebecca isn't responding, and whoever this is preaching scripture at me. They know. They know. So I'm going to hurriedly, if I can, exit my room and close the door behind me, and I'm going to grab something from the hallway, whether it's a fire poker, an umbrella, something that I can clutch onto, a cane, a walking cane, even if it's decorative, something that I can clutch onto as I'm going to run down and pursue this voice. I'm going to call out for Rebecca again.
You don't see her get up. There's no light under her door. She's an early to bed person. And she does have to wake up to greet the woman who brings the food over
Mm-hmm.
because you are respectable enough that your wife not do the cooking in this household. Uh, and they end the previous psalm and begin reading another psalm about having mercy. Wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity and cleanse me from my sin, for I acknowledge my transgressions and my sin is ever before me. It's coming from somewhere downstairs in the drawing room. Rebecca calls it the parlor.
It's a drawing room. That's a constant argument that we get into. It's a drawing room. Technically, it's also a parlor. I am going to spin the cane into my hand. I'm going to tap twice. I wince and I'm going to start moving towards the drawing room. Sir, whoever you are uninvited in this house, and I demand that you present yourself, identify yourself, and then leave. I'm projecting confidence and masculinity and authority and dominion poorly as I approach this drawing room with absolute concern and fear. Shit, did I lose Richard? It's always a symphony if something breaks.
No,
Okay, you're back. Okay, we got you again.
I'm, I'm back. Am I back?
Yep, you're back now.
Am I
Yep.
back?
Yep, you're back now, I
Okay,
think.
I'm gonna. Well, okay. Uh, the internet. Why does
Uh-oh,
it
you're
have to
blinking out on
hurt
me
so
again.
much?
Stand by Symphony, as
Oh
Symphony does what
no!
Symphony does and deal with technological issues. Okay.
Oh my
Maybe you might
gosh!
actually be back now.
Am I back?
Yeah,
I
I
I
think you're
see
good.
myself being back.
Yep, you're good now.
All right.
Damn internet.
There is a black clad figure in shadow sitting on a bench in your drawing room. That the bench was not there before. Um, the bench was the couch. The couch is not there right this second. Uh, it's just this bench. That's all that you really see.
So just to clarify through the internet
Uh,
glitches
and
here, I
yeah,
walk
you
into
see
the
this.
drawing
Yeah.
room. Yeah, and there's no longer a couch, but there's a bench that wasn't there before, and I'm seeing a figure clad in black.
In fact, none of the furniture seems to be here except for a stool across from this bench and the bench. And Rebecca does not let the housekeeper put up the dark curtains that you reserve for funerals and when you are out of town and need to block things out so that, things don't fade while you're gone.
Hmm.
Um, but they are up.
Sir, I demand that you identify yourself presently. I'm going to stamp my foot and the cane onto the floor just to accent the point, to try to add some emphasis.
My dear young man, if you would like to, you can certainly take a seat. The guards won't come unless I call them.
The
But
guards? What guards?
the guards will not come unless I call them. It's just you and I in this conversation.
Sir, who are you and why are you in my home?
I just wanted to have one last chance to give you a chance to unburden your soul, to
And
talk about the ways in which you have strayed from God's light, and in the last final hours of your life, return to God's way. And there's no light has fallen on this man's face, but black suit, a white band collar around the throat, a very dramatically large hat.
sir, I already have a vicar. I lie. I mean, I do technically have one. You are an uninvited guest into my home. I demand that you leave now.
My dear Arthur, what do we have that is truly our own, that we can truly label them? Everything comes and is provided for by the hand of God who gives it to us via those who came before, by providence. Is anything ever truly ours? Or did we receive what's been provided?
I begin to advance on him. Whatever this lunatic is, whomever he is, this stranger, this intruder, this invader, this this blackmailer, whatever he is, I'm
Dear
not going to let him
chat,
stand in my house and do this to me. I'm going to advance on him.
dear chat, I think
Uh-oh.
I've got a question for you. Uh, does Arthur get closer to the dark clad man sitting on the bench? Or does Arthur keep moving towards something that is constantly farther away? Or does Arthur get to the man?
Ooh. Ooh. This is interesting as we're looking at the final, what is this, 7, 8 minutes of this story. I'm hearing closer coming in from Commodore Skip. Gets closer and advances. I'm actually a big fan of that one. I have a feeling this is going to be terrible. Oh, I'm getting Touchy Devil is saying, ooh, creepy. I don't know, babe. How are you feeling? I get further away as I approach. I close the distance. What are you thinking? I'm leaning with Skip on this one. I actually like an arrival. I say we escalate this all the way.
You get right next to him, right up in his darkly shadowed face. You've seen many men with shadowed faces at Ivy Row. It is one of the reasons But so many men at Ivy Row enjoy cigarettes. The dramatic shading and shadowing
Mm-hmm.
that the lit bed of the cigarette provides. In fact, you can smell the ash still on your clothes. And you get very close to him, and then you glance back, and you do not see the stairs up to your living quarters,
Uh-oh.
nor do you see the door to your kitchen. You just see the iron bars of a prison with the guards standing a good, 15, 20 feet away.
No. 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 No, 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 no. What is this? What is this? What is this? Where am I? Am I on the inside of this prison cell?
You are indeed on the prison cell.
I'm going to look down at my attire. I'm going to look down expecting the very same top coat and button down and pants and dress shoes, my cufflinks, the tie clip that Rebecca gave me for Christmas. I'm going to look down because I know for a fact these are all the things that I'm wearing.
You look down and you are wearing what you were wearing 27 years ago. Were you at the execution or did you come later?
No, there's no way. I was far too much of a coward to attend that execution. I barely could read about it in the paper. I avoided all conversation about it. Even to the clients when the transition made, I didn't know. I had no idea. There were never any signs. No, 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 no. Full
But you
coward.
woke up, but you woke up that morning and got dressed as if you might go, didn't you?
I wanted to go. I should have gone. But I did wake up and dress to attend. I did. What was I going to say to him? What was I going to say to myself? So I didn't
Well,
go.
we stay in that crowd. You are standing next to this dour, solemn Church of England priest who is looking on you with this sort of pitying sympathy, his face still in shadow. With only hours left, Arthur, do you want to unburden yourself?
I, I,
I encourage you to unburden yourself.
and I can feel that panic rising because at this point, I don't know if I give this man what he wants, will I wake up? Will whatever embodiment of grief that I'm traversing through dissipate and I'll wake back up in Ivy Row? I don't know what you want from me. Is what I offer this gentleman because maybe it will give me some directionality to end this.
I want the security of your soul, freed of the secrets you're keeping between you and I, so that I might forgive you of your sins, absolve you.
Question for you,
Mhm.
conductor. In the end, did Pratt confess?
Never on the stand. He might have to the priest, but that would have been an entirely private matter.
Based on everything that I knew, based on everything that I admired, based on everything that I cherished of Pratt, was he ever actually ashamed?
I don't think so. Of course, being in fear for one's life changes you, but he certainly never broke down on the stand.
Okay, chat. We're in the 11th hour with a minute, 2 minutes to go. I'm going to tee this up for you guys for best story. Do I confess and repent? Or do I double down unapologetically that I have nothing to apologize for? This is coming from a coward character that is in this particular situation. What's more interesting? Confess and repent or resist? I guess would be the
Oh,
difference there.
he never asked you to repent.
He just wants me to confess.
He just asked you to confess.
So confess or resist?
No point in asking somebody who's going to the gallows to repent.
That's right. Oh, that's a good story. Oh, Tachi Devil just said confess regret for betraying him, which is so interesting because you might have read this scenario better than I did because I was thinking for the lifestyle, not for this. I'm going to go with that and see what Richard does with it because I think that's absolutely stunning story. I confess to betraying the confidence of someone who trusted me. I confess to betraying the love of someone who shared the same with me. I confess for being a coward and turning my back on a person that never turned their back on anyone. It resulted in his death. And although he could have chosen to hurt others in his fall, he chose to stand taller than I did on the day that I turned my back on him.
The clergy person whose face you still cannot see gestures down, picks something up and puts it in your hand. A hat. 27 years out of date. Possibly a touch flamboyant by 1860, the more conservative 1860 standards. Just a touch with a purple feather in it. And says, wear it. In chat, at 6:30 a.m., exactly 27 years to the date, the moment that the trap door opened and the rope fell. Where does Arthur come to?
Ooh. I'm going to start throwing ideas into the chat too. Ooh. Okay. In chat, we've got the studio, the site of the old Molly house that burned down, the hat shop. Chat, any other ideas to throw in? I see a second for the hat shop. That's 2 for the hat shop. Oh, that's 2 for the Molly house. The Molly house that burned down, that site there. Oh. That's 3 for the hat shop. Arthur Evans comes to in the hat shop.
Arthur, this is not your shop. This shop is good ways across the city. And the eyes that do not clearly recognize you are awfully familiar, or that clearly do not recognize you, these eyes staring down. But you look strangely familiar to you. They look a little bit like John's eyes. And of course, John did leave behind an 8-year-old son who is now a man.
Oh, God.
And his smell of a haberdasher shop, very, very distinct. All the chemicals used to harden felt so that you can shape it, and then to set it into the shape it has taken. Are still vibrant. And he just looks at you and says, you don't look like a vagrant, sir, but I'm going to have to ask you to leave my shop.
Do I have the hat?
You have the hat in your hand.
Then I am going to adorn it. And I'm going to walk out of this place where I am clearly uninvited. You want to close it there? We're at time.
I think we close it there.
Ooh. Holy cow. Yeah, Skip. I just said wow to myself too. And that, friends of the Symphony, is where our show ends for the night. Thank you, everyone who joined in or is currently watching the replay. You guys are indeed the best part of waking up. Richard, this
Baby?
was stellar, husband. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait to do some quick Google searches in the background on oh my God. Skip, thank you so much for the haberdashery. I think you ruined my whole night with hat making. Guys, if you enjoyed this content, please consider backing us on Patreon at patreon.com/Symphony Entertainment. Richard, just as we close off, please tell people where we can find you.
You can find me at +1EXP. That is the company where I do operations and production management. And you can find our Rook Studio at r-rook.studio online, or our Rook Studio, all word, on pretty much any social media where I am present, which is mostly right now Blue Sky.
Whew, honey, that's what you get when you sit down with an Emmy Award winner author, honey. Goodness, Richard, this was stunning. Guys, we hope you have had a wonderful night, and we look forward to seeing you on the Symphony again soon. Mwah. Have a wonderful night, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.